Iron Bowl goes this weekend, and we here at OddsShark have everything you need to know. In fact, we have Bill Spurr, one of our writers, on the ground in Alabama. And full disclosure, Bill is a diehard Alabama fan, but this is your first Iron Bowl, correct?
That's right. First Iron Bowl, second time to see the Crimson Tide live. My father and I took the train from Boston to Tuscaloosa in 1999 and saw Alabama beat Mississippi State. But first Iron Bowl, first trip to Auburn, so really looking forward to tomorrow.
As we sit here on a Friday afternoon, Alabama 13-point faves, total is 47.5. But give me a weather update. I mean, just based on the video feed we're getting here from you, weather looks great, but is it going to be perfect conditions for this game on Saturday?
Andrew, this is what the weather's like in heaven. It's just super low humidity, really mild temperatures, super calm. Great day to throw football all over the stadium, and tomorrow's supposed to be much the same. Maybe not quite as sunny as this, but a really good day to play football.
So talk to me about this rivalry in particular. When looking at sports rivalries, in North America, you've got your Yankees, Red Sox, you've got your Maple Leafs, Canadians, you've got Celtics, Lakers. Where does Alabama, Auburn rank?
Well, to me, in North America, it's the number one rivalry because it's the one that matters no matter the record of the two teams. I mean, we're going to come in tomorrow with Alabama having a very good season, Auburn having a very bad season. It won't matter at all to the people at Auburn where, if the Yankees and Red Sox are playing and one of them stinks that year, it certainly takes some of the vinegar out of it. But we were talking about this game before we came down here a few days ago, and I was asked, how charged is the atmosphere going to be? And I said it'll be significantly charged. I mean, it almost doesn't matter the record of the two teams. It's all about this state and the sport for the state.
So the point spread in this one earlier in the week was Alabama 14 or 14.5, depending on the book. But now, as I alluded to, we've got Auburn as a 13-point underdog here, which is the shortest an Iron Bowl spread has been since 2019. When Auburn was plus 3.5. So we had plus 22 last year, plus 20.5 in 2021, plus 24.5 in 2020. But my question for you, Bill, is, and try to answer this to the best of your abilities, but what has happened to this Auburn football program?
Well, it's sort of fallen on hard times in all aspects of the game, in all three aspects of the game. They're not doing anything very well right now, as we saw last week. And it's they've fallen into irrelevance in the SEC, which has not been the way it is for a long time. But it's been a few years like that, and it makes you wonder how deep a hole they can dig for themselves before they'll be able to get back and compete. Because, as you said, they have not really been competing very much for since about 2019, I guess. And it's hard to say. I mean, it's super important down there, but as we all know in college football these days, resources mean everything. And it doesn't seem like Auburn, is as resourced as the teams that we see at the top of the picture these days.
So this one in particular is going to be massive for the Tide, as they do still have a bit of a lifeline for the college football playoff. 6-1 odds to win the national championship as we sit here today. But do you think there's the possibility of this, with Auburn being, how they are this season? Do you think there's the potential of this being a look-ahead spot with Georgia coming up after this game?
I don't think so, Andrew. I mean, this rivalry is so intense that I don't think either team would look beyond it no matter what the situation was with their records. I mean, there's no way Alabama's going to get on that bus tomorrow and think about, this is a cakewalk, because it's happened in the past where one of these teams has been, a big favorite and has lost. I was reminded by an Uber driver this morning wearing an Auburn hat that tomorrow was the 10-year anniversary of the greatest play in college football history, to his mind, the kick six. So no, I don't think there's any chance of Alabama looking past them. Sure, Georgia's going to be a huge game. If Alabama wins tomorrow, it's a huge game. But there's no way that Saban has to tell our guys, don't take these guys lightly. They're not going to take them lightly.
Another angle that bettors like to take is the bounce-back spot. And so here we have Auburn coming off an embarrassing loss to New Mexico State as 25-point favorites last weekend. What's the vibe like down there amongst Auburn Tigers fans? And do any Auburn fans think that they have a chance in this edition of the Iron Bowl?
So one fan I talked to this morning, an Auburn fan I talked to this morning, said that Auburn always keeps it close and they'll keep it close. I mean, what are they going to say? But as you know, the spread's been falling. The bounce back from the New Mexico State game is going to be interesting because they look terrible. And so will they be thinking that we're playing a much better team this week, or were they thinking, boy, we better get our act together, or, we're going to start losing some fans, or at least some fans for this year. So the bounce back factor is kind of hard to figure, I think. But I go back to the Iron Bowl is always a good game, and I expect it to be a good game tomorrow.
So, I mean, on that point of talking to an Auburn fan and that person saying that the games have been close recently, Auburn does have the edge at the betting window. So 4-2-1 against the spread in the last 7 Iron Bowls. So in your opinion, does Auburn have enough to keep it inside that 13-point spread? Or do you think Alabama, just pardon the pun, do you think they roll with this?
They roll. Yeah, I mean, admitting my bias on if it was super rainy and windy tomorrow and Alabama turned the ball over 6 times, that gives Auburn a shot. On a beautiful, dry day where Jalen Milroe can air it out and McClellan and Williams can run and Burton can run patterns and all that, and with Alabama getting healthier on defense, both at linebacker and in the defensive backfield, it seems to me like this has all the ingredients of being a 20-point game.
You've been doing a lot of work for OddsShark with written pieces on past Heisman winners. So I just want to pick your brain before we sign off here on the current odds board and the current state of the Heisman Trophy. We've got Jaden Daniels as the slight fave at around -110. Bo Nix right after at +125, +140. Michael Penix 5-1. Or 6-1, again, depending on the book. But in your opinion, will the Heisman go to one of these 3, or is there someone else on the odds board that might be worth a little sprinkle?
Well, if you'd asked me that 6 weeks ago, I was really interested in watching Ray Davis, the Kentucky running back, because he had an amazing first month of the season, let's say. I think they have, the 3 guys you just mentioned, have distanced themselves. It's been speaking back to Davis, it's been a long time since the guy who was on a team with a bunch of losses has really figured in at the end. If you recall, Stanford running back Toby Gerhart was a very narrow winner, a very narrow second-place finisher to Mark Ingram. But if it was up to me, I'd vote for Jaden Daniels. To me, he looks like a taller version of Lamar Jackson, and he was giving Alabama all they wanted until Malachi Moore knocked him out of the game. Nix and Penix are all obviously very good quarterbacks as well, having great seasons for their teams. To my mind, it's even though he's not the favorite right now, I think David Daniels is the best player.
So I'm going to go off script a little bit here. Before we sign off here, bring me into your world. When we hang up here and this interview is over, what's the plan of attack for the day? What else are you going to do?
So in the background here, where you can't see, we have 3 60-year-old men from up north doing yoga because they're hurting from last night. We're leaving from here to have barbecued ribs at Dreamland, which is one of the most important barbecue places in the United States. And tonight, doing some fine dining in Birmingham after some beers on the porch, getting ready for an early morning tomorrow and get down and set up a tailgate in Auburn.
I mean, say less. Like, I'm incredibly jealous.
Yeah, and it's a pretty great day. It's a pretty
good day and a great one tomorrow. Your first Iron Bowl, as you know, and the viewers can see a diehard Crimson Tide fan. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and enjoy the game. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.